The Angry Elk Amber Ale is named after a real elk. So every June, there is a mama elk that lives in around the pasture that is across our parking lot at the Evergreen location. And she has her baby right behind the sheds that live there.
No shit.
And they are, for those of you who don't know, mama elk are extremely aggressive. When they have their babies, the original head brewer would walk there because he lived in the neighborhood. He got chased around by that elk one day, and
that would be terrible.
Lo and behold, the Angry Elk Amber Ale was birthed.
He's like, this was scary. We're naming a beer after it.
About the branding, when we dug into our past, when we dug into our roots and all the evolution along the way, there are some great stories. And why not tell those through our products and through our branding? That's what makes people feel connected.
I have a firm belief that anybody that doesn't have kids is literally not allowed to be tired. You're not allowed. You're not fucking allowed.
I give my crew shit about that all day, all the time. I'm out running. They're like 16 years old, and they're sitting there like, I'm tired. I'm like, you've been here for 25 minutes. Get it in gear. I'm like, everything pops when I walk.
Hey, quick question before we get started. Would you like to win a free piece of clothing from Snowman Films and a 30-minute chat about your creative journey with me? I know that I would love to connect with you, and I know that I would have loved to talk with somebody who had experienced a similar path when I was getting started. So let's make it happen. Here's what you need to do. Subscribe to the Conversations with Creators podcast, rate and review, and share it in just 5 easy steps. First, write a review on your preferred podcasting platform and rate it. 5 stars for good karma. Then, screenshot your review and share it on social media, tagging Snowman Films. Each month, I'll select one random winner to receive a free piece of clothing from our store and a 30-minute virtual coaching call with me. Again, subscribe, write a review, rate the show, screenshot that review, share it on social media, tagging Snowman Films, and get entered into a drawing for that one-on-one virtual session with me and some free swag. Thank you so much for taking the time to leave me a review. I really appreciate you, and I'm excited to see you in our one-on-one virtual call soon. Now, let's dive into today's episode. So the big question is this: how are creators like us, who aren't built for the 9-to-5, for the people who put their passion before them being comfortable, how do we turn that passion into a living that pays the bills and a life that we love? That is the question. This podcast will give you the answers. My name is Noah Mittman, and welcome to Conversations with Creators.
I use Adobe podcast filter for the recording quality, which is amazing. That's what I did on your voiceover, actually, because your voiceover it sounded good, but it was a little bit echoey, and I put it through the filter, and it's just buttery, so good. I feel it's fitting because we're gonna talk about brewery stuff for this to be the first sound of the episode.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Cheers, brother.
Cheers, man. Thanks for being on.
My pleasure.
You ready for my intro?
Absolutely.
Here we go. Welcome to another episode of Conversations with Creators. Today, my guest is a multi-talented man, a family man, a very funny man, Mike Naifeh. Welcome to the show, Mr. Sir.
Thanks, Noah. It's good to be here.
So, I've known Mike for a very long time. I think I knew you before I had a beard, which is a very long time ago.
I can't remember. I know I had hair. That's for sure.
You lost hair on your head. I gained hair on my face, and here we are.
Oh,
and we both have kids now.
That's right.
So I was doing, when me and Mike met, he was in a band called Euromedicine, which is still running and awesome. And he was doing a music video that I was filming the behind the scenes for. And let's just say, here's how overzealous I was back in the day. No, I would say still this overzealous. because why not? But the music video, the final music video, we premiered, directed by Phil Productions, Phil Filkowski, awesome guy. Premiered at the Bluebird Theater in Denver. The music video was about 3 minutes long. And then afterwards, I played my 12-minute behind the scenes video. Anyway, so that was the introduction to us back in the day. And what's crazy is that I met so many people on that production that are still like prolific and doing stuff in the Denver film community. And beyond. Like everybody on that is still doing stuff, which is so cool. I do have a question for you though on the origin. So I know how it was for me, but how you being in the band back in the day, how was it being in a music video as a member of the band? Like, how does that feel?
I mean, it felt really cool. I was real full of myself.
Yeah. As was I.
It was honestly, it was a mind-blowing experience. I was hoping it was going to be the first of many, but there were so many moving pieces. I didn't, you think it's going to be a lot of fun, but the truth is, I mean, it took all day. We were there day and night, and then we were going through edits and things. I couldn't believe the amount of work that you guys had to put in and make that happen.
Yeah. Well, to be fair, it also was there was a lot of pieces to the music video, more than there was green screen pieces, there was effects pieces, like there was a lot of stuff happening in that, which it turned out great. Well, I'll link it in the show notes if it's still online. And we're talking what, 2011?
I think it was either 12 or 13, but
yeah.
I think the process started in 2011 because it was the whole contest, and then we had to go through everything.
Yeah. So anyway, that was yeah, I know. Go for it.
I was gonna say, if you're gonna link it, I wore a puppy vest. I don't know if you remember that.
I do.
Yeah.
You wore a down vest for a music video. It was in the summer, if I remember right.
Oh yeah. But it was a blast overall, man.
So you may have been cocky, but you were sweating through your everything, I'm sure, with all the lights set up.
Absolutely, like makeup every 5 minutes. I'm like, can you powder me? Can you powder me?
So it's funny that I bring that up, because what Mike does now is a whole 180 from that. You are the operations, and I'm going to call you the marketing master behind Lariat Lodge Brewing Company.
Yeah, I am. My technical title is I am one of 2 directors of operation for the company. And because of some previous experience that I had with a branding and strategy firm, I sort of took on the marketing piece, and I work with the owners, Debbie and Anders, as well as my business partner, Victoria, to try to figure out how to navigate the crazy Colorado beer market.
And it is crazy.
Insanely. Yeah, it's been really crazy, especially over the last, 3 years.
I bet. Seriously. So as just a top down, give us an overview of what the day-to-day operations of a brewery look like.
Well, it's difficult. So we're not just a brewery.
Restaurant as well.
A true brew pub location. So our operation has a lot of moving pieces, but from each facet of the business, from the brewing to the distribution to the back of house, the commissary kitchen, the front of house operations, there is just so much going on, and especially across 2 locations. So for the brewers, they're in early. The days are long. I don't know, for those of you out there, the brewing is really glorified janitorial work. I mean, cleanliness is everything. These poor guys, and they're all wicked smart and super hardworking, but they have to spend the majority of their time making sure that the operation is clean, because you only want to get the ingredients into the batches that you want to get, and everything has to be scientifically controlled. And so they hustle it out in the early morning hours, and everybody else gets to enjoy the fruits of their labor.
So I assume for them kind of a 12-hour day is like a short one.
But, I mean, it depends on the day. There are 3 brewers. The head brewer is a real great guy, really bright guy. His name's Al. He's one of my good friends. And, he spends a lot of time working the recipes over, hop contracts, malt contracts, checking the equipment and making sure that the recipes are on point. The 2 breweries, we have a brewery at each location, and they're different sizes. It's a 5-barrel at one, and it's a 20-barrel at the other.
Vastly different.
And so, so to scale that and make sure that the consistency on point is a constant test and review process. So I admire him a lot in that respect.
So much science in there.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and especially, being in Colorado and one of our locations is in Evergreen, the other one being in Littleton, Colorado, sort of up against the foothills down the street from Red Rocks towards King Carroll is a good reference point.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And this time of year, because of the traveling and the hikers, the bikers, the dog walkers and everything, we really got to ramp up the brewing operations. So I imagine these guys are gearing up to run those 10, 12-hour days. They do whatever it takes.
Absolutely. So on your side, how do you approach the marketing and branding for a brewery specifically?
It's a very nebulous monster. Marketing is. It is difficult to track from a data standpoint. It's a lot of guessing and checking, pivoting, looking at market trends, having a couple beers and mulling it over with people. But for the most part, as we have grown, I call it elimination theory. I like to find out what doesn't work first, and then I finally arrive at what to do. So the what not to do is all the things that we've tried over the years, and it's sort of controlled chaos in a way. There's a lot of moving pieces to marketing, and marketing is such an umbrella term that it can mean 1,000 different things. And believe me, we have tested and tried to do all of them that I could possibly imagine. So I guess a brief answer would be that it is finding a way to connect with our local demographic in a way that lets them understand that we make a product that they're going to want, whether it be to come to the location and enjoy it or to take our product in a can to go. But we have to market for the people that come in. We have to market for the visitation for out-of-staters. We've got to market for the people in the liquor stores. We have to, market for all these different segments, and each one of them gets struck in a different way. Hell, we even have to market to the beer buyers that we're trying to distribute to. We have to convince them to give us shelf space.
Right.
Which is
so competitive here.
Absolutely. It's a totally flooded market.
Yeah.
And so it's difficult to stand out. And so this year we decided to sort of rebrand and launch our marketing sort of based on the chalkboard art, where we have a local evergreen artist. Her name is Natasha. And yeah, right there. And so the art on the cans, the art on our walls, the art on our shirts, the art on all of the marketing materials, every touch point.
It's gorgeous, by the way.
Oh, thank you very much. I will pass the accolades.
Yeah.
But the artwork is created per beer that we brew. And we name the beer, we tell her what we want on there, and she brings it to life in a way that only she can. And she's fantastic.
Do you know what her socials are?
I don't, but I could definitely.
We'll get it. We'll send it. We'll give her some love. Absolutely.
If you want to link it, she's a fantastically nice person. And I love her to death. A big talent.
Yeah, super cool. No, I mean, you bring up a really good point of like, you have to stand out in the saturated market. I mean, how do you kind of go about standing out where we have, like 100 breweries in the Denver metro area alone? Like, what do you, in your mind, what are ways that you can stand out in something in a market that's that crazy?
Well, I think the beginning of any strong marketing initiative or campaign or rebranding is to first dive into, who are we? What are we about? What are our beers about? There are sour breweries, that there are big breweries, small breweries, artisan breweries. There's all sorts of things. So at first we had to sort of discover what is our approach to brewing. And because we are a brew pub and we have a full restaurant at each location, we had to really approach brewing styles from a classic standpoint, at least for our core lineup, and make sure that it was beer that was drinkable with food, that paired well with food. And we do things like the sours and the, peanut butter and jelly ale that we have on tap right now. and those are fun. They're fun to try on our flights or anything like that. But, you're not going to eat a salad and a peanut butter and jelly beer. I mean, there's conflict that can occur there. And so first we had to dive into what is our style. And then we decided, our original location, we're called Lariat Lodge. The original location used to be the owner's house. Lift up. Yeah, did I not tell you that?
No, I didn't know that.
Yeah, and so next time you're there, if you look at the layout, you can kind of tell that it was a home at one point.
Wow.
And they met Eric, who was the original head brewer, who lived in the neighborhood right behind them, and decided to turn it into a brew pub with a lot of different houses. One mountain away.
How that's insane. So literally made his house. So Anders made his house into a brewery.
Yeah, Debbie and Anders are
wow.
They're ballsy people. I love.
That's a hell of a move. That's a hell of a move.
Yeah.
Because if it fails, what are you gonna do? That's wild.
I'm glad they didn't fail, because it's helped me make a career for myself.
Yeah, 100%. It's an evergreen and now Littleton staple. It's one of the go-to places. That's
I appreciate that.
No, 100%. And I'm not. There's a reason. It's if you're ever in Evergreen, you'll see it. It's perched beautifully in amongst the trees on this little mountaintop. A great spot for a house to begin with, and B even better spot for a brew pub and restaurant. So
yeah,
no, yeah, please.
So I guess to cap off the point, we got on a little tangent there, which I'm quite known for, by the way, is we're Lariat Lodge, and we're in the mountains, and so that is who we are. There are evergreen trees all over us, and there are elk and deer that come right up to the outdoor patios. They eat our flowers every year.
You can't have flowers in Evergreen. It doesn't work.
It does not work. Yeah, don't do it. But we sort of borrowed the local fauna, the local plant life, the local animal life, and the setting, and injected that into our branding, so that somebody who is, in Texas and is taking a trip for spring break at Evergreen, Colorado, quiet little sleepy mountain town, they get a feel for what it's going to be like to come in there. And, so lodges, it's warm, it's welcoming, it's friendly, it's cozy. And so we try to use all of those things to, I guess, sort of package the idea of what a lodge is into our branding.
No, and it completely works. It is what you want the mountains to feel like.
Mm-hmm.
But
I like that.
Yeah. We may have to use that. So a little backstory, I'm doing some video stuff for Lariat Lodge, and we're having a lot of fun with it. And obviously me and Mike were way back, but no, it's cool when you can work with a friend and work with a brand that is really just down for stuff. And again, such a strong brand identity, and you capture the essence of Evergreen with the branding, with the feel. It's really working. And I think a lot of that has to play into from your social media presence. So what's your strategy and thinking on the social media presence, and especially with engaging with customers and building the strong online presence that you have?
Sure. Well, it is ever changing as social media trends change. But the most recent sort of effort that I'm making, aside from having fantastic pictures taken by Snowman Films of our food and our menu flips and our new beer cans and things like that, those product shots are important. But what I wanted to move away from was just using our social media as a sort of a billboard. And that can be difficult for a business because you need to promote your product so that people understand exactly what you do. But I wanted to intertwine a little bit of personality. We're a very culture-based business. And so talking about, employees that just got married, shout out to Red, love you.
Congrats.
And on their birthdays, or if they're doing something fun, the things that are important to them, I want to tell the story of who we are and how we came about. And so that people understand that we are not just our products, but that we are a group of people. And you got to be kind of nutty to be in the restaurant business in general. Now, tack on a brewery, and that's a recipe for a bunch of weirdos. And we take great pride in that. And we have sort of quirky employees that are all different. I don't like autonomous robot. That's not a corporate place. So I want people to understand that through social media, how they might interact with us and engage with our brand when they're inside of the restaurant. And then with our rebranding, the owner's dogs, Barley and Larry, Lari for Lariat, are two golden doodles, and they grace the blonde ale, the barking blonde ale, and the lazy IPA.
Actually have that as my next one. There it is. And there's the branding for anybody that's watching on YouTube. Right there.
and we're a dog friend. Both of our places are dog friendly. Everybody owns dogs. We get tons of dogs because of the hiking and trails around us and things like that. And so we use the dogs as sort of a springboard to promote ourselves and to solidify how we brand ourselves in relation to the local Colorado demographic, which is largely dog loving, outdoor loving, and things like that. And so they each have their own can. And so I created two social media profiles, one for Barley Doodle and one for Larry Doodle. And they comment on everything that I post. And it sort of reads like the Sunday funnies. Sometimes they jar each other. Sometimes they're sweet. I may have read too many Calvin and Hobbes growing up. I don't know, where it's coming from.
Hold up. Because you probably don't, that I have a Calvin and Hobbes tattoo on my right calf.
No way. Really?
Yeah. Calvin and Hobbes on one leg and Tintin and Snowy on the other leg.
No.
Yeah.
I love Calvin and Hobbes.
Oh, it's the best. Anybody who's too young, go check out Calvin and Hobbes. It'll change your life.
Yeah.
But no, I love that.
I got two Calvin and Hobbes.
Yes.
So it's sort of quirky and fun, and it gives the public an opportunity to engage with our brand and sort of see what our personalities are like without it being too formal. Because everybody laughs at me because I will, I'm essentially catfishing myself with two fake dog profiles while I'm posting from the business's perspective. And it's a little absurd, but quite fitting for who we are as people.
Yeah. Anytime you see a comment from these profiles, just imagine Mike giggling to himself on his phone in the background.
Well, the truth is, no one thinks that I'm funnier than I do. I think I'm the funniest person ever, and you over that fact. But I want the social media to be fun. I mean, we're a place that we want people to come into.
Yeah. And
so you got to give people a glimpse of our sense of whimsy, that we take our job seriously, but not ourselves.
No, I love it. And I mean, honestly, being in the social media game for many, many years, that's kind of the last, 5-10 minutes here have been a masterclass in how you do branding for a business correctly. Like, just have fun with it. You tell a story, you lean on the people, the culture. Like, it's nothing more than that. Like, it's at its core, it's just simple storytelling and bringing people into your world. And it's just well executed. So good job.
I appreciate that. I had a lot of help along the way. Big shout out to Aaron. Thank you for guiding me.
Always. No, and the mentors are amazing, but it's so many people. I feel like so many brands especially just don't understand it, and when they try to do it, it's just, it doesn't seem organic. So like, I think the shouting out the real people involved in the brand is huge, and having storytelling and having characters, and that's at its core what it all is. It's storytelling. That's what filmmaking is. That's what beer is, honestly. It's all storytelling. So my kid just walked in to say hi. We cut it out, but it actually gives me a perfect segue into the hard left turn that is my next question from branding and social media, which is me and Mike are both trying to fight the dad bod. And I know that you've had some recent success with your weight loss journey. Tell me about keto and cutting alcohol from your diet and kind of what effects it's had. Because I have a little bit of pudge, and I want to... This day of beer is so good. Seltzers are just not as fun, but I want to lose weight, and I miss my six-pack. Tell me, what you got? What do you got going on?
So for the last 5 weeks, I've been doing the carnivore diet.
What is that? What does that entail? So just like greens, I guess, like greens and meats.
So it's actually just animal proteins and any animal fats. I do sort of a dirty version, what's called dirty carnivore, where I'll have cheese or something like that.
80-20.
Yeah, so it's, but in my macros are like 50% protein and 50% fat. And, the first couple days were fantastic. I'm eating steak. It's got all this butter on it. And I'm so sick of it now. I'm so over it. I mean, it has worked fantastically, but I have never had to apply so much discipline, and something for people that work in restaurants. All of you will understand what I'm saying. I'm surrounded by delicious food and beer and drinks at all times. And my favorite part of the day was getting off work and then releasing the parameters of my position versus my employee's position, and just shooting it and connecting that with them on a real level, and putting all of our guard down. But with a lack of discipline, I got pretty up there, man. I'll tell you that much. So I decided that I wanted to be better, and my wife deserved better. My kids deserve better. The older I get, I'll be 39 tomorrow, by the way.
Hey, happy birthday. By the time this comes out, you'll be probably a week or two into 39. So happy late birthday, happy early birthday on this day we're recording this. 39. Holy shit. I'm 33 going on. I'm gonna be 34 in July. So
you whippersnapper.
I know.
What are you talking
youngin.
Yeah.
No, it's great though. Your last year of the 30s. Holy shit.
Yep.
You look great.
Oh, well, thank you. It took a lot of discipline and reversing all of my poor decisions over the last couple of years,
especially with free delicious beer and food, and the restaurant industry is a hard one to stay in shape with. That's my thing. Like, my wife looks amazing, and I'm like, all right, you're doing the work. I need to keep me looking good.
Well, I think both of us mentioned the other day that we know that our wives are better than us in probably every way. We don't deserve it.
No, we both married up, and it's great.
Yeah. I'm like, man, I can't screw this up. I got to get in better shape. I'm brushing my teeth and my stomach's going in the opposite direction, and I'm brushing. It's like,
I just love like every time we're out, we're like, she's all social and stuff, and she's like, oh yeah, guys are getting on her and stuff. She's like, oh, I'm married, and then she points to me, and they're like, to him? And I'm like, hey, listen, I'm not that bad, but like, I know she's hot, but like, come on.
Well, it's like sad. So like if you go to our website, we have headshots that we did years ago for all the management, and the dude had to Photoshop out my belly button crater because it was like too much shadow. It was like the dark side of the moon or something.
You're like, I'm bringing him back just to do my updated shot. So it's like, no, you're not allowed to use Photoshop on this one.
All natural, man. No airbrushing this time.
That's great. So speaking of kind of the family life, you're a family man like I am. How do you? I'm actually interested because I'm always trying to do better myself. How do you prioritize time and manage kind of career versus work-life balance? And are there any, I don't know, like strategies or practices that have worked for you to maintain that?
Yeah, I mean, for me, because my wife works as well. I know that Shorty works as well. It's all about scheduling and organization, which we're constantly not executing well.
Always a puzzle.
I try to shut it off when I come home. I have a difficult time with that sometimes, but it's an hour to a child is a lifetime. And so if you can set that 1 hour aside and spend it with them and observe them and learn about who they are, that goes a long way with them. I wake up very early in the morning and I make sure that I'm up with the kids, making their lunches, blah, blah, blah. And
I love that. I love that. Yeah. An hour with kids is a lifetime for them. That makes me feel a lot better.
Well, just like an entire year is an hour for us. Right. You're like, where does it go?
Exactly. But listen, the days crawl, the years fly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's true. And sometimes I crawl through days and nights.
Yeah, I have a firm belief that anybody that doesn't have kids is literally not allowed to be tired. You're not allowed. You're not fucking allowed.
I give my crew shit about that all day, all the time. I'm out running. They're like 16 years old, and they're sitting there like, I'm tired. I'm like, you've been here for 25 minutes. Get it in gear. I'm like, everything pops when I walk. I'm a walking pop up.
And you woke up a half hour before your shift started. Fuck you.
Right. Yeah. Or a half an hour after your shift started.
Right.
Jack, I'm talking to you.
Called out. And I know the whole staff is going to listen to this because I gave them the info.
But the truth is, the truth is that, I carve out one day a week that is absolutely for my wife and for my two boys, Declan and Kai. And that day is Sunday, and we try to cram as much family time into that as possible. And sometimes it's not possible. Sometimes it is possible.
No, but it's absolutely sacred. I love that. I mean, at least given a day to family time, like it's interesting for me. It's like hard to switch my brain into it of like, okay, I'm going to just say yes to a lot today. And as soon as I'm into it, I'm having a blast. I'm like, oh yeah, I love, if you just are in their world and on their level, it's so much fun and just follow, because I mean, how old are yours?
Declan is 9 and Kai is 7.
Yeah. So I'm Grayson's 6 and Autumn's 4. So it's slightly different, but like, man, that commitment, I love that commitment of at least one day a week is family. And I mean, as you said, say it's 12 hours, that's huge for them. That's amazing.
Mm-hmm. Well, and everybody at work is Debbie and others are family people as well. And that's a part of the culture that we're proud of, is the understanding of that people, for the most part, are there. We want them to enjoy themselves while they're there, but they're there to turn the gears on their life outside of that, whether it's college or high school or a second job or a family. And so everybody knows that my family is my lifeblood, and that I wouldn't have I wouldn't have a day to crawl through
Yeah.
if I wasn't able to come home to them.
Yeah. No, and that's why you got into it in the first place. That's why, you know, it's so important. It's funny, the freelance world that I'm in, which is the say yes no matter what. I have friends that are bragging about working on Christmas Day. Oh, I'm on set, it's crazy. I'm like, oh yeah, you're single. I forgot.
It's tough, man.
It's hard.
I mean, this country has sort of a work first, culture about it, and these younger generations. One of my challenges as a leader in my company is to connect with some of like the Gen Zers and things like that, or the Gen Y, where they're much more about work-life balance.
I love that, honestly.
And I need to respect that, because I'm going to get older, but for the most part, my employees they stay within a block and they work through us until they attain their life goals, and then they move on from that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, so much of our parents and our grandparents' culture was, the breadwinner comes home and you get to see him for half an hour before bedtime or whatever. Like, there just wasn't, and everything came after that. And I honestly appreciate the focus on mental health, the focus on, there's to a point where I'm just like, all right, suck it up. But like, you still got to work hard, but like, yeah, knowing when you need a break, knowing that family's important, knowing that it is just a job. And even if it's your passion, like, what are you doing it for at the end of the day? What do we work hard because we want to have the family have a good life. And
absolutely.
But it's what's crazy is it's such a balance. Like, there's that, but it's also, you want to work your ass off so that you can have the cool experiences, and it's not just always hanging around at home.
Mm-hmm. Well, and you're a passionate guy. I mean, everything that you do, you got to be passionate to be freelance.
Oh yeah.
And I am very passionate about what I do, and I think it's important to find something that you love to do, and to always feel interested and challenged. But
I do like 5 things at once.
Yeah. But believe me,
jumping around to the different passions. That's the idea.
But
I completely get it.
Yeah, there's a piece of parents, I think, that you always reserve. That's my little private family island, and nobody can visit that.
Yeah,
but us.
Yeah, and that's the way to be. I mean, that's the other thing too. I think that I see not an issue with. Again, it's like it's choices, but it's what I've noticed in freelance, especially, is like 90% of freelance people are either single or separated, or they're just, the career is their life. And I know that, especially in the film industry, most people will, they're flying solo. You go shoot a movie in another country for 4 months. Like, you can't do that with a family unless you bring them along. But I am determined, and to maybe the detriment a little bit of my career for a little while, of keeping the family together and not being in that percentage that, says yes to the job no matter what. I'm passionate about that as much as I am of, I want to work in this and make a living. I'm okay with the Uber days where I know that it's, I said no to a 2-week job because maybe the max I can go right now with a 4 to 6-year-old is 3 days locally. I can't go spend 2 weeks in Estes Park away from the kids. It's just not going to happen for now. They'll get older and it'll be fine, but like, the well-rounded life that I'm living, I know long term I'll be really happy with it. And that's the most important thing. Like, jobs are going to come and go, especially in freelance, constantly. But no, you've chosen a thing too. Like, I congrats on the steadiness of what Lariat has given you. Like, that's amazing. And the fact that you still get to have fun, you still, the family balance is there. That's a gift.
Well, thanks. We all work together to protect each other in that way, and that takes sacrifice for the person standing next to you, and I believe in that.
No, I completely agreed, and it's being a parent is the hardest thing I've ever done, straight up, and it takes a lot of energy, but I wouldn't give it up for a second, and the kids are amazing. Especially if the kids were like just complete assholes, like it's just like, oh God, I'm bad this up, and I don't even turn it out well. They have their moments, but like, they'll come for everything comes around when they come in for the hug and say, Daddy, I love you. Like
That's the best feeling in the world.
It fixes everything.
But the truth is, there's nothing more freelance than being a parent.
Yeah, well, yeah, because you never stop working.
Yeah, and that's the thing is you don't know what it's like until you actually have children, and then you have this idea. I had this epiphany the other day, and I was like, I was my kids and we were strangers at one point.
Right.
It's like constantly they're growing and changing, and you're constantly getting to know them, and you don't have a choice about it. And you know what? Sometimes they're assholes.
I'm laughing because I saw an interview with Michelle Obama. Hey there, fellow creatives. Conversations with Creators dives deep into the minds of successful filmmakers, artists, musicians, and all-around awesome people. We are looking for some kick-ass sponsors to help us keep this show on the road. If you want to reach a tribe of dedicated listeners who are just as passionate about creating as you are, then look no further. Our audience is full of people who appreciate a good laugh and are always on the lookout for new ways to fuel their creativity. So, let's team up and create some magic together. We'll work with you to make sure that your brand is showcased in the best light possible. And who knows, maybe we'll even become lifelong friends. Just imagine, years from now, we'll be reminiscing about the good old days when we first teamed up to take the world by storm. Send us an email at noah@snowmanfilms.net to say hey and get the ball rolling. Now back to the episode. And she called kids terrorists sometimes. And I'm like, that's true. They're little terrorists sometimes. Like, I call it like your emotions are in 4D. You will never love harder or be pissed off more than you've ever been in one day than being a parent. You're like, I'm angrier than I've ever felt. And then you'll do something sweet, and I'm like, oh, I need to film it. Like,
it makes you feel fucking schizophrenic. It's tough, and it is the most rewarding thing ever, and you're terrified to screw it up.
Yeah. Oh God, so much.
But man, you're so right. The feeling of their little arms wrapping around you, or when they lay their head on your shoulder, washes everything away.
You're like, I love you. Just stop being an asshole if you could. Just please.
Just go to bed, please.
So for the listeners and watchers that have made it through this whole parenting tangent, thank you so much. The last half hour here. I know you got and good. And listen, if you have kids, if you don't have kids, that was a good walkthrough of what it's like. So what are some of the trends that you've seen in the brewing industry that kind of impact your strategies or even your roles in what you're doing? Like, let's call it 6 months.
In the last 6 months, we've seen IPAs are still king, but there is a lot of demand for lighter malt bill brewing, lighter lagers, and ales, lower calorie, lower ABV.
That makes sense.
And things like that.
With the rise of the seltzer.
Yeah. And the mocktails.
Yeah.
And a lot of breweries have expanded into different verticals, and they're creating canned cocktails, or they're brewing alcohol-free beer and things like that. And so it's it's tough to know because the trends are at times defined by what the breweries are doing, and at other times they're defined by what the consumers are after, and it's tough to figure out what's first, the horse or the cart. At any given time, you're not sure if you're the horse or you're the cart. But fortunately for smaller craft breweries, they tend to be nimble and they can respond fairly quickly with small batches and things like that. But what I've really enjoyed seeing is over especially, I know you said the last 6 months, but as I've been aware of
whenever time frame,
companies like, Denver Brewing Company, Left Hand, Oscar Blues, New Belgium, Odell, some of the bigger guys that have opened up places in different states. They're multinational brands now. And that's fun to see when you saw someone go grassroots and then hit it big in a very big way. And I think that a lot of craft beer drinkers are they hold it against them for getting big, and they're like, oh, well, they're big, they're sellouts now. But I'm like, no, it's beautiful. This is your participation as a market force at work. Like, do you realize how special that makes all of the Colorado people that you were a part of the birthing and sprouting and growing of a brand that people that don't speak English now know? I think it's wonderful.
I didn't realize, just as you named them off, how many Colorado brands are multinational now. That's so sick.
Mm-hmm. Or certainly at least across multiple states and things like that. But the ones that in a way started the craft brewing trend in Colorado most of them have done very well for themselves. And they're opening they're opening restaurants or different kinds of locations, with beer gardens and food trucks.
It cracks me up though when they're like, oh, you sold out. I'm like, no. When we had one place and you're like, oh, I love this stuff, I want you guys to be successful. This is what successful was like.
Enough people liked their product,
hailing
that they were able to make more of it to give to more people, and that's the American dream.
100%. That's how you take down the big piss beer companies. That's exactly it. I will say, and I'm going to throw some shade a little bit, because the one thing you got to do, no matter how big you get, is you got to keep your recipes. And there's a specific, I think, is it Breckenridge? The fat tire? That changed?
That would be New Belgium.
Oh my god! I'm a terrible Colorado beer drinker. I'm sorry, but you gotta change. If you, no matter how big you grow, you gotta keep the recipe that people love.
Well, and I think that in some ways, and they're so big that I can only suppose or make inferences on
17 houses now.
Why they did that, and I'm sure that they had some large level marketing research, because they are across the globe now, that said, you know what, it really makes a lot more sense to push into the domestic market. Pared down. Now New Belgium still has a lot of
for sure, a lot of other stuff.
Smaller, but what they did is they removed Fat Tire because it got so big. They were able to remove Fat Tire from underneath the New Belgium umbrella and make it really its own parent brand in a way. And I think it's interesting to see if that is a wise move, or not. But it is funny to the local lover that it's now a golden ale. And you know what? I got to be honest, it excited the shit out of me. You know why? Because our Angry Elk Amber is one of the best ambers I've ever had. And so I'm
You're not lying. Listen, you're not lying.
Well, come try our amber ale. If you're missing that flavor profile, and you like that sort of well balanced but with a nice smooth malty finish amber ale, man, now they have an option that now they're going to think about us, and that makes me
it's kind of a hole in the market. No, totally. I had it's interesting. So I worked on, back in the day, I don't know if you've heard of it, I worked on a documentary that was on Netflix for a little while called Crafting a Nation. And it was about the, basically the craft beer scene being the new American dream. This is back in 2011. And going into that, I was your, Heineken, Blue Moon, classic, drinker, and I had never tried it. I had never tried other stuff. And that the crew working on that walked me into drinking craft beer. I had never, ever in my life been a fan of dark beer. We went to Asheville, North Carolina, to the Asheville Brewing Company, and I had a oatmeal stout. And I took a drink, and I was like, hold up. I don't like dark beer, but this is incredible. And now I am a stout porter. Like my two drinks are IPAs and dark beers, stouts and porters. Again, recently, second time this happened, was at Lariat, and I'm not just sucking on the teat here. I don't like ambers generally. I'm like, I don't like wheats for sure. I don't like light beers, and I don't like ambers. I tried your amber, and I have ordered it every single time since then that I've been to Lariat, and your opinion gets changed around sometimes by the right beer that's fantastic. And so I have to agree, the amber it's kind of mind blowing, and I'm a fan. And I don't say that lightly because I don't drink amber ale in general.
Well, thank you. I'm glad you like it. I wish I could take the credit, but it existed before.
Directly to thank you for being the brewer. No, I'm kidding. The team behind the
amber, Alex.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm taking the credit.
Plus, it's the elk, which is just the best.
Yeah. Well, and that's true. I mean, and to tell a quick story, the Angry Elk Amber Ale is named after a real elk. So every June, there is a mama elk that lives around the pasture that is across our parking lot at the Evergreen location. And she has her baby right behind the sheds that live there.
No shit.
And they are, for those of you who don't know, mama elk are extremely aggressive when they have their babies. And if you get in between the baby and the mama, she will charge you. And so
much so that when you're on a trail in the mountains, there will be there's 3 warning signs that I see a lot. I do some mountain biking. You'll see the rattlesnake sign, duh. You'll see the bear sign, duh. But then you'll also see hey, watch out for elk. And it's because of the angry elk.
Well, and so the original head brewer would walk there because he lived in the neighborhood right behind the location. And he got chased around by that elk one day, and
that would be terrible.
Lo and behold, the Angry Elk Amber Ale was brewed.
He's like, this was scary. We're naming a beer after it.
But that's the thing, to revisit the original, where we started about telling the story and about the branding. When we dug into our past, when we dug into our roots and all the evolution along the way, there are some great stories. And why not tell those through our products and through our branding? That's what makes people feel connected.
I feel, and this might just be me shamelessly pitching for more work, but I feel an origin story for each beer in the video coming along.
Oh man, I've got this whole X-Men thing in my head, where all the beer characters come together and they transform into superheroes or something.
Disney Plus, you got a show coming your way.
Yeah, I mean, if you and I just had about $10 million,
I know, man.
I think we come up with with some great ideas.
We're looking for investors. You heard it here first.
Soft sell. That's a soft sell. No. We're saying everything out here, but it's a lot of fun to watch the way that the market has changed, and in COVID honestly had a lot to do with it.
Yeah.
It pushed out a lot of people, a lot of great places, and a lot of great people, and it was heartbreaking to see that happen. But it caused those of us that were left to sort of take our own inventory and say, well, where are we now? Because nothing's actually the same.
No.
It really started a new pathway. Workers behave differently. Their requirements are different. Staffing is a little bit more difficult. You know, product and pricing and shipping was all messed up. We couldn't source wine because shipping containers were stuck off the shore of San Diego for forever. Or
Right.
yeah,
I forgot about that. Holy shit.
it was blood, sweat, and tears, and the fans and local community that got every single brewery through this tough period, especially up and comers like Lariat Lodge. We are very well established in Evergreen. We are becoming well established in Littleton. But obviously, the point of our rebranding is we're trying to push further into the into the Colorado market, and it was really, really rough for a while, and we all had to stick together. So I don't take that lightly that we made it through, and I want to pay homage to all of the great breweries out there and the great people that really had to rethink the directions of their life because of the pandemic. And I want to make sure that we never, ever, ever lose track of who we are at our core.
I mean, you have my vote. Mike for governor or something. I don't know.
Yeah, I'd like to announce my 2024 campaign for president of the United States.
Free beer for everybody. That's a good. No, that's. I mean, I don't have a lot to add on that. That's fantastic.
Well, thank you. Thank you. I mean, it's a special place.
What impact? And you talked a little bit about it with the dog stuff, but like, what's your view on kind of humor related to marketing play?
I love humor. Obviously, I was touting how funny I think I am earlier. We'll look in the comments. To see
yeah, exactly.
But humor it's something that I try to utilize. I can't quite get as down and dirty as I want to at times, but humor is one of those things that you do at great peril. If it hits, you've struck gold.
Yeah.
If you miss, it is a flop like no other flop. That's why being a comedian is one of the hardest jobs. You're up there by yourself. And so to navigate humor in branding is very, very difficult. For instance, I've always remembered, Quiznos. Where's Quiznos, right? They used to be big,
right?
But you don't hear about Quiznos anymore. And they started putting out these commercials where they were trying to be funny. And one of them was this big, fat, hairy chef in his tidy whities. And I don't know if anybody would remember this except for my insanity.
I think I do.
But there was a series of commercials but this one in particular, I'm like, why would you want to align your food brand with cubes sticking out of someone's tidy whities? Like it was the most unappetizing thing. And so they went for humor, but forgot how it relates to their product.
Yeah.
And it was a total flop. And I'm not saying that's the reason they, that they struggled in the marketplace or anything.
It may have also been the pictures with the owner of Quiznos posing with dead animals that he had hunted down in Africa.
No, that was
Jimmy John's. You're absolutely right. Quiznos have nothing to do with that.
I mean, sandwiches, right?
But listen, again, he kind of was a fat guy in tidy whities. Ish.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But no, I gotta look those up. I gotta look those up for Quiznos.
Yeah, and that's the thing is, and
that's
so
right. You don't really Quiznos is not like top of tongue anymore, for sure.
Well, and that's what you have to ask yourself. I remember this commercial that disgusted me, but I can't tell you where my nearest Quiznos is. So they made a memorable commercial, but it did not do what they wanted it to do. And that's a very dangerous game, especially in society right now where everyone's trying to navigate this shift with you, I don't want to bring up the Bud Light thing in general, but
No, yeah,
everybody knows what I'm talking about. And so it's very difficult. So if you're going to use humor to brand yourselves, you better make sure that you are striking your demographic in a way that is going to cause them to purchase your product and support you. Because if you misstep in any way, the public will slay you. They will slay you.
What's crazy to me about the Bud Light thing was like it showed that cancel culture works both ways. It really, if you piss off your customer base in the wrong way, and listen, I like some of my favorite TikToks that I've seen recently are reactions to people freaking out about the Bud Light thing. And then they'll break down, these people will like duet the video being like, hey, you see that poster on the wall behind you? They also support LGBTQ rights. Hey, you see the drill you're using? That company has historically been on the side of LGBT. Like, they're just completely like everything about you is on the wrong side of this. So it's interesting. I think it's super important to have tasteful humor, but also like not be afraid to make a joke and being like, who am I really afraid of pissing off here? Because if it's something about, especially with the older brands, I know there's a whole strategy of like, you want to capture people when they're young so that they are with you for their entire lifetime. So I kind of see the Bud Light thing as like they're letting go of some of their older, less in touch customers and introducing themselves to the younger demographic that can now drink Bud Light for a longer time.
Well, and for me, without getting into any of the sort of the political aspects of it, truly what I believe their big misstep was on both sides. I get that they were trying to, that they were probably trying to grab, a younger audience and grab a piece of the marketplace that they weren't super present in.
Right. Absolutely.
But, the more the merrier when it comes to business in many ways. But you can't do that by, because then they came out and issued, like an apology and things like that. And then, I imagine it made everybody feel like Bud Light was trying to game them.
It was like hollow.
And that's a mistake. That's what I'm saying. You can't lose.
You can't go back. If you make a statement like that, you can't go back on it.
Yeah, you can't. You can't lose your humility. But for me, the driving point around that issue is the power that a single consumer has as a market force when they put it together. So it's very interesting to watch. I think it is showing people what power that they have, and it is also an exercise in how you need to be careful with how people feel and think. You cannot get out of tune. You can't get on a different frequency, or you're going to risk pissing off absolutely everybody.
Yeah. All right, marketers, here you got to walk a fucking tightrope if you're going to do this. No, it's true. Honestly, like it's, and this is why it's when you do it well and when it's, and I think the main thing to your point is when it's about the culture, when it's about, things that are universal, that people care about you care about building a community, you care about telling stories, that works. And it's interesting actually, because I think some of the biggest swings and misses, another thing that comes to mind is the Pepsi commercial way back in the day with, I want to say Kendall Jenner or something around that was kind of this, BLM style riot thing. It was just super like distasteful, but
I don't remember.
Big brands swinging on something that they just, like, I don't know. There is political statement. Like Nike does it super, super well. Nike knows how to be on brand, tell a good story, and still be at their core who they are.
And that's exactly how I totally agree with you. You have to make it about your culture.
Yeah.
Not the consumer's culture. You have to make it about your culture and then give them mechanisms to decide what they think about your culture. You can't be a poser. You can't. It doesn't work.
We're too smart. We see right through it. Especially in the internet age. No, I completely agree. So no, I think it's just not even the whole like stay in your lane, but just like understand who your audience is and what they're about. And I mean, that's part of why the marketing avatar is so important. Like really diving deep on who your customer is and what they care about and telling stories around that. And no, I mean, when it works great. And I'll tell you what, it's interesting with the Bud Light thing, like as many customers as they lost with that, they probably gained just as many, if not more, with how viral it got of new. I mean, we're also talking craft beer here, so I mean the beer's shit, but people that
saying that
may have not tried it before may try it and then tried it and been like, oh, this tastes like crap, I'm gonna go craft.
Yeah, well, I'm interested to see if I mean they're a huge company and we're talking, they're down billions of dollars.
Yeah,
but how is that going to affect them and their other brands? Bud Light is just one
right
piece of Anheuser-Busch, and so I imagine the company will probably survive. But I'm not, it will be interesting to see if the damage will be long lasting. And I realize some people think that it's stupid. I'm merely coming from a perspective of observation as somebody, that is curious by, because I'm in the business.
We are merely students of the marketing game. And this has been honestly, this is just a discussion on that aspect of it. No,
absolutely.
It's just a completely observational. Like this has been an interesting time especially in the beer industry, to see something like that happen.
But I think to sum it up, I guess my perspective is that it seems clear to me that no matter how anybody feels about the issue, that from the outside looking in, it is obviously inauthentic.
Yeah, and
that damages any brand.
Yeah. No, at the core of it, 100%. That's that's a very good breakdown of it. Let's move. So, actually, this is one of my favorite questions. I heard this on a podcast and I stole it from it straight up because it's such a great question.
Right.
Outside of your career, what is your thing? What is the hobby that kind of makes you relax and take your mind away from all the crazy career stuff?
Yeah, absolutely. 3 things. One, we already discussed for maybe a little too long, being a dad. But the things that I do for me are, I still play a lot of guitar.
Yeah.
And
he was the lead guitarist, by the way, from the beginning of the episode. Lead guitarist.
Yeah. That only means something if you watch me play, and then it might not mean anything. But I'll let
you up so well.
But I also really, really, really enjoy cooking. I like it. It's sort of, there's an immediate payoff nature to it. You get to, it's my love language. I'm like a 93-year-old, grandma. I'm like, you got to eat.
You look thin. Yeah, have more on your plate.
Your skin and bones. Even if you say you don't want seconds, I'm slopping it onto the plate. I'm bringing out pie when no one's done with their dinner.
I cannot. Every time. Oh, of course. Every time we visit Shorty's family in Texas, I literally can't keep up. I cannot keep up with the amount of food, and it's all filling as hell.
Oh, and
it's
I don't
delicious.
know,
but yeah.
But both of my parents are from Texas.
Oh no,
as well. So we used to drive down every Christmas and go visit them. I mean, and it was just, I swear to you, I after coming back, I wouldn't shit for a week.
Nope.
It was it was out of control. Unbelievable.
Everything's big in
Correct.
Texas, including the eating and the drinking.
Absolutely. I mean, it was fantastic. But
If to recover from a Texas trip. But yeah, so it translated into your thing. I love that. That's great. It's
so cooking and
what are your favorite? What are your like top? We'll go top 3 because top 1's too hard. Top 3 things to cook.
So that's a difficult subject because it in itself is nebulous. So what I do is I sort of travel, and so I'll go to Greece and I'll visit and try to learn some recipes there, and then I'll go to different regions in China, and then I'll go to Japan.
I love those
South America.
I love that.
And so my goal, and actually I'll talk to you about this later because I've wanted to start my own cooking channel on a long time, and the whole thing behind it, which is fairly common, is to do this, but what I found is during COVID, a lot of the places, everybody was DoorDash and Grubhub and all that, Uber Eats.
Even after, because people are fucking lazy, and I get it.
Absolutely. I want it to come to me too, come to me. But I would, a lot of places had to cut corners because they couldn't source their ingredients the same way, or money got so tight they had to do whatever they had to.
Yeah.
And so I saw a degradation of quality for some of my favorite places that I would order takeout from or previously go out to eat at. And I started thinking to myself, I can make this better. And so what I tried to do was recreate these dishes. And so I would work on the recipes and recreate the dishes and test them on my wife and my poor children. And then I would go back through in arrears after I would write the original recipe.
Like, Dad, what is what is this? You're like, eat it, it's all you're getting.
Yeah, like it's still moving, and I'm like, it's but
it's very popular in Japan. Be cultured. Shut up.
And then I would try to recreate that recipe in a way, like cheater versions of it that were quicker, or substituting out ingredients, and to revisit elimination therapy. I had to eliminate a lot of recipes from my book based on my wife's feedback. But unfortunately, I sure.
What's your average? Like 1 for 5, 1 for 3? What's the winner? What's the winner average on it?
I'd say I knock it out of the park 50% of the time.
Yeah, that's good.
But I would say a good 85% of attempts of things that I make are passable enough.
Listen,
to where they're like, hey, yeah, you're in the right.
In any sports statistics, you're an all-star.
Yeah. I mean, but you may want to ask someone other than me about how what my
be the second opinion on it. Yeah.
Yeah, I may not be.
She's like a solid 35 tops.
I'm not gonna go get my wife. Just
no. Yeah, she can comment if she really cares about it.
Yeah. So
that's great. I love the world traveling through food. I think we do a similar thing where Shorty hates to cook, but definitely is more creative with the recipe ideas than I am. She's also like, her Mexican food, because she's from South Texas, is insane.
Oh, dude, we're coming over. That's like the
Cinco de Mayo. Oh, yeah. Anyway, it's so good. Like, she's got like grandparents who don't speak English that good. Yeah.
Well, I'm drooling already. Plus, I've been on this carnivore diet, so like everything sounds.
You're right. Just anything but
best ever. Yeah.
No, I mean, this has been awesome. So I wanna roll out the red carpet for you a little bit. Let the audience, let everybody know what you have going on in your life right now.
Well, I mean, the truth is that I am powered by my dedication to my family and to my company, I sort of in a humorous way, at least I find the humor in it, have turned into just this total suburban dad. And truly though, but that's what makes me tick. You know, back when you met me and I was and I was in this band, we're all young, we're gonna be famous, you know, and the second that Declan was born, I looked at my guys, and they're still my dear friends to this day. And I said, guys, I can't commit to this the way that you need me to.
Yeah.
And I absolutely, you know, so what's going on for me is I have a small group at home who love me to no end and appreciate me and support me. And then at work, I have the company is, I think, a little over 100 people right now.
Wow.
Oh, it's a lot of.
I didn't know it was that big between two locations. That's huge.
Yeah, I mean it takes a lot of muscle to make multiple locations work, and it's the stop and chats that I have with my people while we're working and watching them grow and asking them how they're doing in school or you know, if they've graduated, and we're seeing them take on a new position within the company and excel at it. I have a very authentic vested interest in my people, and that to me is what the craft beer industry is all about. It's about community. That's why I can go on a podcast and tout our company a little bit, but congratulate Denver Brewing Company for how much they've grown and how delicious their Raspberry Princess Yum Yum is, and how fun it is to order at a bar. You know, I'll have the you know, it's like, can I get the raspberry Kolsch? Like the what? The raspberry Kolsch. Can I get the what? You mean the Raspberry Princess Yum Yum?
Listen, and it's so good. It is so good that I will drink it on a lake day with some of my friends who ride Harley Davidsons proudly. I'll have, what are you drinking? A Princess Yum Yum. And like, try it. Yeah, it's delicious. You know, what I'm hearing from you is that you're a home dad and you're a work dad.
That is how I view myself. You know, I feel a responsibility for the success of the people that I come into contact with. And I hope that functions top down in some way. And I suspect that it does within my company. And I feel supported and loved in the decisions that I make from both the owners, my business partner, and all of the people that you know, all the way down to the 15-year-old host, and it's their first time job and they're terrified, and it's a great life lesson
love that.
To have to be around so many people. And that's
like how cool for that
joy
too.
For me. So what's going
like that's to be, you know, we all had our 15, 16-year-old job that was hell. And for you to be able to give like a good experience to somebody at that age with a good job, like that's what a cool storyline and transition of generations there. That's sweet.
Well, and I like that. And my goal from the employee side is I always say, you know, I want people who work for us and then move on to some other place. I want them to go to their next job and see Lariat Lodge on their resume and go, oh, awesome. You know, like, okay, cool. And it's a constant fight. It's a constant, you know, we're constantly updating and revising training and all these things. But I want people to know that they're not just an employee. You know, that's what the craft beer, you know, culture is all about. It's about sitting down and connecting with people. And if we can't do that with our own employees, then how the hell are we going to relay that message to the people that come in and enjoy our product? It seems impossible to me.
That's like the best definition of culture that I've heard. Like that's, you know, wanting the employee's experience to be just as good as the customer's experience. That's, I mean, honestly, it's a big part of why I'm such a craft beer fan, is exactly that. You know, it comes from an authentic place, a passionate place, a place where people are treated well, and the flavor comes from that. And that's what I give my money to. So I'm a big fan of it.
Absolutely. I mean, have you ever gone into a restaurant or a place and you can smell, you can feel the staleness of misery coming from the employees.
Yeah, I've worked in this,
and that affects the atmosphere. Well, that's not very lodgy, is it?
That is the
not very comforting.
Antithesis of a lodge. Corporate cubicle working vibes is not what a lodge feels like.
You can take that business model and lodge it where the sun don't shine. That's
so. And he comes in with the dad joke. And speaking of dad, I'm gonna make. You ready for my joke? All right. So Mike has been working on his body, so he may be the work dad, but you can call him daddy.
Oh God. This is giving us the Quizno commercial vibe. Oh man.
the daddy of Lariat. No, I'm kidding. That's terrible.
I can't be daddy because our executive chef Grant, his nickname is Chef Daddy. Everybody
calls him Chef Daddy. All right, so I'm going to start something that if this podcast gets big and we get people coming in, if you go into Lariat Lodge, so he's at the Littleton location, correct?
Correct.
He's at the Littleton.
He works across both locations.
So if you happen to go to Lariat Lodge, you need to make a special request to see Chef Daddy. And he's required to come out and give you a high five. Yeah.
And he'll do it too. He's got fiery red hair.
Oh yeah. Ginger is a character. It's green.
Yeah. I mean,
well man, this has been an absolute blast.
I'm enjoying it,
So much fun. Thank you for being on, and definitely go. Final question: are you guys have any plans to go and get into stores or any stuff like that with the cans? Are you guys going to liquor stores or?
Well, so we're actually in quite a few liquor stores.
Oh shit!
We're trying to move beyond. But if anybody is looking, for where we're available on the website under the distribution and canning page, I have a little icon map. But all of the Total Wine and More's, there's 3-1. They're huge liquor stores. They carry our beer, but you can find out from the website, and we're hoping to grow out of the 5-mile area around us deeper into Denver and beyond. We believe in who we are, and we are proud of what we want people to discover about us.
Oh yeah, Lariat Lodge taking over the country. Here we go. You heard it here first.
Yeah, Mike Naifeh, 2024.
Yeah, running for president. Independent. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah,
Independent.
Yeah.
Sponsored by Bud Light. All right, buddy. Well, this has been a total blast, and I love chatting with you. I love working with you. Happy to call you my friend. And I really appreciate your time.
I appreciate you too, my friend. Thanks for having me on.
Listeners, watchers, we'll see you next time. And thanks a lot.